The CROTA'S raid has returned in Destiny 2, and today we're going to recap the story of the Hive on the Moon, CROTA'S invasion, the failure of Eris's fireteam, and success in ending CROTA'S life in his throne world. CROTA has a bunch of backstory you can see in the Books of Sorrow, how he came to be, letting the Vex in through a portal and eventually forming his own brood. Today's video is going to focus more on CROTA'S forces on the moon and his end at the hands of the Guardians. Also, this video was made before the reprised raid release, so there may be some new encounters or lore tidbits from weapons and armor that are not in this video, but subscribe to see those in the future. During the collapse, when forces of darkness would invade Sol in search of the Traveler, the Hive were among those ranks, of course. Nezarec was said to lead the attack on Earth, Savathun at his side. Hive would swarm our planets and moons, seeking to drain every last bit of light they could find. When Savathun betrayed Nezarec and the Witness was pushed away among the stars, CROTA and his brood would camp out on our moon. Nezarec's pyramid would crash land here. The Hive were no stranger to the moon, but this place would now become their home. Now, I think we're unsure if they followed the pyramid to Luna after the collapse, or just felt it would be a great place to build a base next to Earth. Regardless, CROTA created his own throne world, which was accessible through the moon, a place where Hive souls returned to after death to be reborn. CROTA would need to be killed here to be gone for good. The tunnels were geologic in nature, or had to be. That's what we thought until 12 hours into the second sublunar expedition when we found the bones. A single long ribcage the size of an aircraft fuselage. The living creatures themselves we found 100 meters down. They might have been worms, if worms had scales and teeth and moved more quickly than a man could run. One does not walk amid those dark tunnels and not lose something. They say that to look out upon the ocean is to feel small, but to walk in these caverns is to feel your grasp on reality slipping. There is no returning to what you were before, a believer of science and the fundamental rationality of the universe, not after seeing those worms. But here now, at the bottom, I have found the other side of the nightmare. Like waking from a dream only to realize you were still asleep. Perhaps my oxygen is getting low. Yes, I can see it is. Hypoxia already setting in. The thing before me is like myself, partly alive and partly not, an ossified afterbirth, a pulsating tumor. It lays in a crater of its own making, dark and jagged. So here I'll sit and lay me down. I see a doorway, and within, the death-white egg cases of nightmares yet to come, and glad I am to miss it. The Hive would camp out in the lunar tunnels, burrow, infest, and suppress any foe they came across. During the City Age, the battle against Guardians would begin to heat up. The Battle of Burning Lake was one of the first major battles against Hive forces. The Guardians would battle thousands of Hive on Earth and barely made it out to tell the tale. Lord Shax, the consensus did not. We barely eked out victory at Burning Lake, and now you think we're ready to attack the moon? We're preparing. Did you not read my report from Burning Lake about the Hive's weapons? Those swords, they're like nothing we've ever... Some Guardians thought they were ready after this first Burning Lake encounter to attack the moon. A counterattack was then launched against Hive forces on Luna. We would show them what humanity stood for. Or so we thought. Things went horribly wrong, and this period was dubbed the Great Disaster for a reason. Earth's moon was where we first faced the terror of the Hive, and it soon became the battlefield of a great war, one we did not win. In the years since, the Hive have ripped the moon's surface apart, opening chasms that swarm with terrors. Hundreds of Guardians stood no chance against thousands of Hive knights in thrall. Above the moon, the sky would turn green, and at the head of this army was their leader, CROTA. With his sword, he was unstoppable. My name is Ariana III, disciple of the Praxic Warlocks, marked by the Cormorant Seal. We came here under one banner, united in a host of thousands to claim the moon. But the battle goes against us. I have taken a prisoner, and this is the record of its interrogation. Ariana, it responds to pain. It responds to the light. Heard it again. Monster, heed me. Who is your master with the sword? I can hear it in my head. The sword bearer's name is CROTA. Record that. Should I burn it again? No, I think it's only feeding it. I will touch its mind. Ghost, help. They call you wizard. You must be ancient. I think you value power very much. Will you still be powerful without this piece of your mind? Tell me how to kill CROTA. It showed me the battle. It showed me waning dead on CROTA'S blade. It showed me how CROTA killed the guardian with a screaming knife hammered out of its own ghost. So I will take a piece of its mind and ask again. Tell me how to kill CROTA. Incredible. Where? Where is his throne? Where is the twilight world under the dead star eye? Ariana, there's a word from the company in Mare Imbrium. CROTA is upon them. 100 dead. They need us. Tell me where. Tell me how. Tell me. Ariana, what did it say? It showed me how it did this. Just exactly this to an awoken man. The knives arranged by its will, like little silver ships, like ghosts. It laughed at me. It said we were the same. CROTA marches with 1,000 knights, and they say the sky above Mare Imbrium has turned into green fire. They are dying in numbers I cannot bear to repeat. He kills them one by one with a sword that eats their light. Ariana, we have to do something. Kill the wizard. Scatter the ash. It has nothing but lies to offer. Get your sparrows. We have light and fury. That will be enough. During the Great Disaster, CROTA was successful, although they did lose some of their forces, which put a dent in his tribute that he would gain. He would then retreat to his Ascendant Realm or Throne World to heal up a bit and wait things out, his forces still ravaging the moon. The Vanguard said this after the battle. Effective immediately, we declare the existence of an interdiction on the moon and cislunar space. Guardians operating in this interdict will receive no formal support from the Vanguard or from assets of the city. We urge Guardians to exhibit the greatest care and consideration in approaching the interdicted space. This interdict will remain in effect until such time as the hostile presence on the moon poses a demonstrable existential threat, or until intelligence is obtained that leads to the defeat of the enemy leadership elements recently encountered. Ariana 3 wanted revenge from what happened at this great disaster. She, along with Eris Morn, would build a fireteam to take out CROTA once and for all. I've recapped the story of Eris's fireteam in a recent video, so here's a chunk of that from that video explaining their encounter with CROTA and how their fireteam fell. If you've already seen this or know it, you can skip ahead a bit. Eris and Warlock Ariana 3 began a mission to take down the son of Oryx, CROTA, who was terrorizing Luna. Preparing their journey, they recruited 4 other guardians alongside them: Saimota, Veltarlo, Omar Aga, and Toland the Shattered. Toland knew Hive lore extensively and helped plan their assault with the group. When they landed on the moon, they would approach the Temple of CROTA. As they would descend, they hear the terrible screams of Omnigul echo through the chambers. Soon later, the first member, Veltarlo, would succumb to the darkness. Alakul was there, and Thrall forces overran and killed Vel. After Vel's death, in frantic chaos, the group was split up. Eris, Omar, and Toland were together, Ariana 3 and Saimota by themselves. Ariana and Sai went after Omnigul. Sai fell to the will of CROTA, and Ariana 3 actually made it near the Oversoul, but was killed by the Death Singer's song. During this whole process, their ghosts were damaged beyond repair and their light was getting drained. Toland was obsessed with Hive and their history. At some point along this journey, he sought out the Death Singers himself and their proclaimed song, which ended up ripping his soul from his body and sending it to the Ascendant Plane. Omar Aga was captured by a Hive wizard, brought deep into the tunnels and put into a vice where his ghost watched the Hive rip his light out of him. Eris heard these screams and actually managed to approach, but as she watched in horror, she vowed that there was nothing she could do if she wanted to survive herself. This left Eris Morn, alone in the dark tunnels, light draining. Eris had one last trick though, an Ahamkara bone she'd had in her possession since the Great Hunt. She didn't like the idea of using darkness and these magics, but at this point it became a necessity. The Ahamkara bone would guide her through the tunnels for years, eventually reaching the surface. Robbed of her ghost, Eris remained lost among the darkest shadows of the Hellmouth for countless cycles. Despite all odds, she endured, using the very dark she battled to emerge a changed warrior, driven, some would say obsessed. Eris learned Hive magics from Toland's journal, which kept her alive deep in the pit. She did lose her ghost and her eyes to the Hive, but took acolytes to use instead. Eris had a bond with that fire team, and this was a very traumatic event. They did everything they thought they could to take down Crota, but fell short. Eris returned to the surface, but at what cost? She was broken, changed, and wanted revenge. Eris Morn's fire team failed, but she managed to escape and eventually make her way to the tower. In Destiny's first expansion, The Dark Below, she would assist us in continuing what her fire team failed to do on the moon, bring about Crota's end. Years after the Great Disaster, the Hive on the moon under Crota were rebuilt and stronger than ever. Crota, after healing in his throne, would begin his assault on Earth. Omnigul and forces were deployed to the Cosmodrome, where the Hive planted the first seeds. Invade here first, and eventually the city. Eris Morn meets and assists our Guardian. We take down high-ranking officials under Crota like the Swarm Princes and his consort Omnigul. Crota soon was ready to make his return. The Guardians first head to the moon and destroy a planned ritual to bring Crota back to the material world.
6 of us went down into that pit. I was vain enough to believe we could defeat Crota, but the Hive caught his soul before we could destroy him, and then there was only death. We failed. You cannot destroy the soul of Crota. We hid in the old moon base up ahead, waiting for the right time to strike. We were brave, but we were not ready. Few of us made it beyond the canyon. The rocks cracked apart, Hive waiting in ambush. It was worse for the ones who made it inside. Stay alive. Crota! They're waking him! Crota's soul is banished. You have given me the gift of vengeance. I thank you. And even if they don't yet know it, the city thanks you.
It succeeded, thus he was stuck in his throne. Now all we had to do was enter and take him out for good. Forming a 6-Guardian fire team, we enter the Hellmouth. First, we traverse the dark abyss under the weight of darkness, eventually entering the Oversoul throne itself. After crossing the bridge and dealing with the Death Singers, it was now time. Once Crota's presence was made known, the Guardians would turn the Hive logic against them, using one of these swords to take down Crota while damage was done. In the end, Crota's presence on Earth was severely damaged. His top-ranking officials and even the green monstrosity himself was no more. With the help of Eris Morn, the Guardians brought about Crota's end, and this was a huge victory for the city. Little did we know the Hive gods we would come to face after this.
I have seen what the Hive call a god. Only a true weapon of the light can stop his wrath.
So there you have it, Guardians, a quick little recap on CROTA'S events on the moon and the CROTA'S End raid. You can get way more in depth with the specific encounters and things like that. Maybe the reprised raid will include some new lore we can dive into. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.